Hello ladies and gentlemen, Captain Shack here, and welcome to my top 10 reasons to be excited for Total War Warhammer II. Total War has a long, proud history of making some of the best grand strategy historical titles, but Warhammer Total War is another beast entirely. Around 2 years ago at E3, I had a chance to interview the devs of the original, and wow, what a fun conversation that was. It was obvious how much fun the devs were having switching over to a fantasy-based franchise. They let them cut loose and make all kinds of over-the-top gameplay mechanics and new units, you name it, in a rich, established fantasy world. One that I've spent many late nights conquering. My favorite side has to be the vampires, and maybe the Empire. No, definitely the vampires. Summoning zombies is probably the best ability in the game. So let's check out the top 10 reasons I'm excited for the sequel. Oh, and keep in mind, I've actually had a chance to play the game. The new title won't just be overriding the original. It's actually going to work in conjunction with it. If you own the original, you get to use the original sides and the grand strategy map that'll be released sometime shortly after the title comes out. Now, the reason for the delay? They want to run an open beta of this mega ginormous campaign to see that everything works smoothly. It is going to be one of the largest campaigns they've ever done. Alright, so let's get into the specifics of the new campaign and the new game. First off, modding. It's still going to be supported shortly after release with the assembly kit. You'll also be able to find stuff on the workshop. Moving on to number 8, and actually night 8 through 4, the new races. Now, each of the new races have 2 different lords, meaning you get 8 starting positions on the map. 4 new races are being introduced, one of which I've actually had a chance to play. So first up on the list will be the High Elves. They're one of the older races in the lore. They're described as high-skill, low-number style army, boasting some of the best casters and fighters in the Warhammer fantasy universe. We're talking world-renowned for their martial capabilities and solidly on the side of good. Next up, the Lizardmen. Now this is the race I've actually had a chance to play, and this is the race I'm most excited for. They're dinosaurs with like magic laser weapons strapped to them. Alright, the hero unit that I had a chance to command was riding a T-Rex. Or in the lore, it's called a Carnosaur. It's totally a T-Rex that was chomping a path through the infantry lines of the High Elves. Fantastic. They have some of the most interesting and creative units. Nothing like having a lizard riding a T-Rex into battle while under command of a floating ancient toad eating High Elves. Now, this was the demo at E3, and it was great. In the lore, I guess they were the first race to have to fight the chaos before the High Elves arrived to help stabilize everything. We'll talk more about the campaign in a moment that kind of connects to. So next up, the Dark Elves. Now, I love how each race in the original has a themed currency, and that'll continue in this one. Vampires use dark magic, the Empire used gold, but the Dark Elves, they're gonna be using slaves.
Malekith, who's just a nasty piece of work, frankly. He's a dark elf, and Malekith is just the epitome of evil and badness.
As a primary source of currency for their empire. We don't know a whole lot about the Dark Elves and what their mechanics are going to be. Hopefully we'll find out more soon. Now, the last race is unknown, but most likely it'll be the Skaven race. That's the Ratmen. I can't confirm this to be true, but the rumors as of making this video really point to the chaotic race of Ratmen to be the one that they're coming out with, and I'm down for it. The best thing about Warhammer Fantasy, the universe, is how totally different the factions are. The Skaven are a very steampunk vibe to them, so we'll have to wait and see what kind of crazy mechanics come attached to that.
What's with a rat? It's just a rat.
Moving on, the new story about the Vortex. Now, one of the more interesting aspects of Total War II is how the narrative is looming over the campaign map. Basically, this is like an energy vortex that's set up by an elf forever ago to help drain energy away from the world so that the chaos can't come barreling in, ruining everyone's day as it becomes less stable. The good races are trying to stabilize it, while the not-so-good races want to tear it down and watch the world burn. The most interesting thing about the new campaign is the fact that the AI will be actively trying to complete the main objective, meaning there's some reason for you to actually worry about the main story. Unlike the AI in past Total War titles that never would actually complete the story quests, they will be competing in this one, meaning you've got to pay attention to it. The map size is actually said to be equal to that of the original game, but with more subsections or areas to conquer. Next up, we've got army abilities. These are powerful skills that vary wildly, such as bombardments or other types of attack. The the lizardmen, as an example, this is the ability that I got to play around with, are able to spawn in feral cold ones, which are like raptor hybrid T-Rex creatures. They're able to spawn these almost anywhere in the field. I was using them to flank high elf archers and watching the archers get eaten by them, which was pretty great. It'll be cool to see what the other races get for their like army ability, especially the races from the original game, assuming they're gonna get some type of update to give them their own ability so things are balanced. We'll have to see. So the last two things. The first one, huge combined campaign. Now I talked about this briefly at the beginning of the video. This is the feature, one of the features I'm most excited for. If you own Total War 1 and 2, you'll be able to play on a massive mega map that has the old world and the new world represented. And if you own any of the free DLC or the paid DLC, you'll be able to use all those sides in this epic super campaign. So on a massive scale, these giant battles. Heads up though, now that there's an ocean, there's no real-time naval battles, just auto-resolve. But they have added in storms and reefs to keep things interesting. So the final feature that I'm most excited for is the reworked multiplayer co-op. So one of the big issues that I ran into with the last Total War Warhammer is the issue that playing cooperatively didn't always work out so well. Some of the races didn't play well with others. An example being the vampires and their corruption mechanic if your friend was playing as, say, the Empire. Now, you're going to be able to play as the same Empire, both of you, if you want to, making for a whole bunch of interesting cooperative campaigns. You can play as the vampires together or the orcs together. It'll be cool to see how that plays out. So what do you guys think? What are you most excited for Total War Warhammer 2? Did I miss any of the major features? I probably did because there's quite a bit of information out on this one. I'll probably do another edition of this style video as we get closer to release to kind of recap all the cool things that are coming out for the sequel. So let me know if I missed anything. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.